Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on April 28th, 2024 at approximately 4:30 p.m. PST. Now, I've returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day-to-day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. Now, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have worked for literally thousands of other people over the years with varying degrees of success depending on their own efforts. Now, today we are looking at self-awareness, but today we are looking at self-awareness, the importance of socializing. But before we get into that, we have in the house, we have Robert White is in with the gold. Okay, and hopefully Robert is still here, but he, as he put here, he may be getting his MRI done at the doctor's. So we will see. If he is getting it done, hopefully everything comes out clear. Then we have Renee Andrews who's in with the silver. How you doing, Renee? Glad you could make it. Steve Knox, you are in with the bronze. And nice to see you again. I know your day is usually busy, so hopefully it's been busy in a good way. And Kevin, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah. So you come in with honorable mention there, Kevin. And we currently have 6 people watching. We are sitting at 614 subscribers. And with that in mind, now we get on to things. Now, what's this issue about the importance of socializing? Well, I'm going to throw something out there just to really confuse things. I was looking at it this morning. And I'm not going to go into any detail on it right now, but this is just a medical discovery that I stumbled across. Just a comparison. Okay, now, this is going to probably upset somebody. Okay, but I have found a direct link between the mental dis-eases of people in many different factions, in many different aspects of life. Okay, did you realize that there is a direct link, a direct, not comparison, but a direct, what is the word I'm looking for? That's an excellent question. I'm pulling up a blank. But there is a similarity in these amongst other mental dis-eases. Bear in mind that when something is called a disease, break it into dis-ease. The mental alignments I'm referring to, you're going to love this. Are narcissism, a superiority complex, multiple personality disorder. When you take a look at both your feminism and I forget exactly what it's called. Chauvinism, that's the word. I'm really good on English. All of these dis-eases have a very similar combination. All of them are frankly correctable, but they come from understanding where you fit in the long range run of it. Now, do understand, I am no medical doctor, but every single person you know, even those with those literal dis-eases, when they're not happy, people fighting depression have the same problem. Okay, people that are suffering from any form of addiction or any form of self-limitation, you've all got the same complication. And thereby, every one of these has a way of coping. Now, the more you know about yourself, okay, the easier it is going to bring your mind back into alignment. Now, I could look at it and go, okay, I'm completely off my nut. Many people have actually said that. Okay, it's funny. I was showing my son today the list of past lives I've got and I've got documented. Turns out I've actually got 22, and that's on this planet. That doesn't count any of the other ones. But the more you are aware of who and what you are, the easier it is for you to move forward. Okay, because once you know what makes you uneasy, for instance, Anagora, when you've got any of the phobias, all of them, I am absolutely certain, I'm absolutely convinced, are curable. Okay, but it's going to take a little bit of work to make it happen. Now, for any of you that are interested, because the reality is some of these things I will deal with, others are of a more personal, more drawn-out nature. But that is where the other side of what I do comes in. Okay, yes, I definitely do consulting both for business and personal. Okay, if you look at the top of the screen, you'll see a link for Buy Me a Coffee. All of the different books I've got and I've got available, all of the consulting, the free newsletter, they are all right there in that list. But here's a neat little thing. Every person has a different aspect of their life. And the more you know about you, the easier it is going to be for you to socialize, to interact, and to cope with other people on this planet. Kind of an important factor here. Okay, now, what would you do if you have trouble leaving the house? What would you do if I told you there is a way to actually make that happen? Now, I will tell you, way back, psychiatrists made some rather critical miscalculations. Again, I am not a trained psychologist or psychiatrist. Okay, I certainly would never become a psychiatrist because I don't believe in the medication way of doing things most of the time. Don't get me wrong. For those of you that are on medication that it's working for, stay on it. Okay, one of the biggest factors with socializing. Okay, what do we got? Oh, there we are. Something you've got to realize is the more aware you are of what's going on in your life and how you interact, the easier it's going to be to socialize with other people, thereby getting a different perspective to add to your own repertoire. Okay, now, one of the biggest things about learning to socialize with people is you get to interact, give people a new perspective on your take and possibly theirs. And I saw somebody come in here. Oh, there we are. Now, Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Yeah. And you're back at work. I'm presuming you're somewhat swamped, aren't you? And glad you're still around there, Robert. The reality of it is, and before I go there, for those of you that don't know, the link is listed right there in the chat room for Nathan's Quantum Show. Absolutely, drop in, give him a listen. If you like what he has to say, give him a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the daylights out of the thing. Now, so presumably your MRI got delayed a little there, eh, Robert? Personally, I do feel it's going to come out all right. Joe Stewart, how you doing? Glad you could make it. And what do we got? LA Moon is here. Yeah, it is getting busier and busier. I mean, we're still 6:14, but here we are, 10 minutes into the stream, and we've got 9 in. So we are coming in. We are starting to grow, which is a good thing. And Valerie, how you been doing? I've been keeping an eye on things. I just love the neat part about that video you sent me is that was all I required. And literally that is one of the few. I'm in the middle of putting a list together. But the Chitauri is the only reptilian race I know of that has 4 fingers and a thumb. The rest of them have 3 fingers. Okay. As for the coloring on it, when you think about it, the Chitauri and the humans have the same issue. And many of the other races. A different skin tone does not mean you're different, you're different species. It is simply, quite often, it is caused by either diet or literally environment. Okay. But again, I certainly don't feel you're in any danger. Now, what do we got? Imi Tonga, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, there we go. Yeah, isn't that the case there, LA? LA's just saying, I'm loving chat and getting busy. The reality is, Storm does a phenomenal job. I will tell you, we've had a couple of people come in here, and it always confuses me. I've never been known to be subtle, but it always confuses me when somebody comes in and repeatedly goes, I've done this. To me, it's very simple. Absolutely. The first time, absolutely announce it. After that, I personally start questioning why. Okay. I spent, well, that worked well. Don't mind me, you just dislocated my ankle. Like I said, one of the biggest things that we have to look at here is when you're doing anything, whether it's in this chat room, another chat room, in full-time society, doesn't matter. When you do it, if you can stand up and say, I did this, you can proudly announce, I did this. Then, and this is something you check before you do it, if at all possible. You can stand up and go, I did this, whatever it is. Okay, if you can do that proudly, by all means, carry on and do it. But if you are going to either have to apologize for it, or you feel that you would not appreciate if somebody else did it to you, that's the time to stop the whole 9 yards. Okay, that's the time to avoid doing that in the first place. Yeah, Robert goes, if they keep repeating the same thing, start charging by the letter. I think that's a great idea in certain fashions. Unfortunately, I don't know how I can pull that off. Gordana, how you doing? Glad you could join us. One thing I will tell you, and it is absolutely imperative, whether we are dealing with science, socialization, media, doesn't matter. You can always find something bad to look at. Okay, now, just because my mind's going to go sideways here, this neat little book. Okay, it's an old one, but it's one I learned through. Okay, this neat little book, if you're into astrology, this may make sense. It's the only astrology book you'll ever need. Got news for you. In a sense, they are correct, because the word need does tell you that it doesn't have all the answers. But when you're dealing with astrology, no matter what you look at, every aspect that is out there has a positive aspect and a negative one. This applies to the same as any event that takes place. You can find something positive and something negative to look at. The question you've got to ask is, which one are you going to pay attention to? Okay, now I've looked into a lot of different things, and I am already writing an article on it. Okay, on some of the pitfalls that we run into in some of the metaphysical sciences that will be included in the newsletter down the road. No, the thing we have to look at is you gotta look at, well, you don't have to. Mankind for centuries, well, literally for millennia, has been looking at the negative side of life. Okay, they've been looking at the world going, we're going to look at what's short, what we're lacking, how much stress we're under. We're going to look at it all. That's what you're trained, to do. It's what your parents and teachers were trained to do. Okay, I'm here to go, hey, regardless of your skin color, regardless of who you're crawling into bed with, regardless of who you worship or vote for, you're all virtually identical in as much as you're looking for somebody, first of all, to accept you as is. Second of all, to respect your opinion. And to be clear, nobody's opinion can be wrong. Okay, not the way I see it. Now, you can absolutely make an opinion based on conclusions drawn from faulty evidence. Now, what do we got here? Joe, the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely it is. Any night of the week that I'm on, it doesn't matter what I'm up to, open topic is always there. If you've got a question that doesn't apply to what we're talking about, absolutely ask. Okay. But again, for those of you that don't realize it, when you're putting a question into the chat room, put it all, please put it in all caps, partial caps, or at the very least, a wavy hand to let me know you're there. Woo. Odd you should ask that. I never did watch it. I have started reading the novels. Okay. I only saw the first episode, then my schedule got completely hooped. Okay. So it is one of the series of books that I've got on the list of what I'm going to be reading. Okay. Right now, if I pull these out. Okay. I don't think I read these today, did I? Yep. Okay. So the books I'm reading right now, because I read 3 at a time. I'm in the middle of reading the fourth encyclopedia of nature. Okay, the fourth in a series of 16, I think. 15 if you don't count the index, because I'm not reading the index. Okay, then I am reading, now that I'm almost halfway through, the Holy Bible. Okay, I told my father on the day that I was granted that he on his deathbed that I would read the Bible. Okay, I'm just about a third of the way through it. Okay, I will finish reading it cover to cover. And it's amazing some of what I found out there. And then we've got this one, which is First Signs of Evil, book 1 of the Demon's Web. This one my brother actually wrote. And I'm coming on halfway through it. But I've got the whole series of Game of Thrones lined up to read. So I got no shortage of reading material. That much is obvious. Okay, I didn't watch it on TV, but I don't watch much on TV because normally I just don't have the time for it. Or more to the point, I don't make the time for it. So that's where that sits. What do we got here? Oh, there we go. Now, when I look at the whole issue of socializing, something we have to get clear. So many people I talk to will tell me it's the major media moguls that have put all that negative energy out. It's time that people on the whole wake up and smell the coffee. Okay, and realize it's not the major media moguls. Like you, I thought the same thing. Okay, because that's everything I've been shown. But then, when social media came out, what I found is a staggering number of articles that show people, hurting each other, lying to each other, embezzling each other, murdering each other. Get the idea? And that is put out by the general population. Okay, now get this. They aren't telling about the person that made a personal social breakthrough. The celebration takes place because somebody got married, or somebody graduated, or somebody discovered a new way or rediscovered a way to tie off a project of their own. You don't hear about these things. And yet, they are far more uplifting than finding out who embezzled what. Now, when we are talking about socializing, yeah, the internet and the telephone is a way of doing it, but you miss so much in the way of social cues in the physical world, as well as that sense of connection that takes place when you get together and sit down for coffee across the table from each other. Okay, this is something we have to get back. We've got to get back to. Now, I did talk to the gentleman that asked me. Okay, there was a gentleman that offered to pick myself and my other half up at the airport in Reno and get us to the hotel so we can get there safely with as little stress as possible. Okay, so that I'll be getting picked up there, and then of course Thursday night I'm socializing with my other half. It's the first time I'll have actually physically met her in the 4 years we've been together. Okay, that said, the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th, I am open to socializing. How long into the night, I don't know. Okay, but I will be out and about to socialize. Okay, in all likelihood, my other half in hand. We are going to be going down to the casino. Okay, in the hotel. I'm not planning on going all over the city because I'll tell you I can get lost really quick. And, I can see and get lost. My other half is 100% blind. So we get out and about, I get lost, we're in trouble. Okay. Now, does this mean I won't leave the hotel? Absolutely not. I'm just not dumb enough to leave it on my own. Okay. But, now, I know what you've asked about getting together for coffee and for your lunch or dinner. Okay. And realistically, we got 3 meals in a day. My metabolism pretty much requires I do something about all of them. Okay, so we'll see what happens on that. But that leaves a lot of room. And the only 2 days that are not available are going to be, like I said, the 8th and the 13th. The 14th will be kind of a hoop job because I leave Reno on the 14th. But the reason for socializing is the energetic connection between people is phenomenal. There is no comparison to it when you're on the internet or on telephone. Okay, the connection you make when you're face to face is so much stronger and passes on so much extra information that you don't get over the phone or over video. Okay, this is why setting up a time to get together, and for me, now the reality is on the 4 days I'm down in Reno, okay, I'm going to be quite open to the socializing side of it, in spite of the fact that my nerves are certain to be a wreck during the travel time. I don't travel well. Now, let me ask you this. When it comes to self-awareness, what is the reason why self-awareness is tied directly to the aspect of socializing? Any idea at all? And yes, I'm only going to leave that question sit for a few moments. Then I'll give you the answer as I understand it. But I would love to hear your interpretation of it. Now, the neat little part about it is when we look at this world, humans are by nature still nomadic. Okay, they are still very much nomadic. They are still very much a social organization. This means that the drive to socialize is extremely prevalent in people, even for the ones that are shall we say, a little disconnected from the idea of socializing. Oh, I don't get it wanting to be around people. I'm telling you, I have that fight all the time. Hence why I haven't traveled in 4 years. That was just a combined aspect, if you will. I was talking to somebody the other day, and, it's amazing to me. So many people have said, oh, I understand where you're coming from, and, you really helped. I'm looking at it going, I've got to be one of the most opinionated people I know of. But that doesn't mean I'm better than anybody. It just means I got lousy control over my mouth. Okay, which means somebody says something, my mouth goes into gear, my brain catches up later. Okay, so what I'm working on here, and again, when we're looking at social awareness, something I'm going to have on my list to take to Reno is a list of the different things that I intend on doing down there. Well, yeah. And Philip goes, when smellophone is invented, we'll get to experience a more in-person like interaction. True. But then you got to remember when that comes out, those of you that are in the washroom or those of you that are at the dump may not be wise to answer a phone call. One of the things I have found is that as technology evolves, people are literally they seem to be getting more disconnected. Okay. I mean, and it's getting worse in my opinion. But I'm not blaming anybody. You got to remember, that's what you're being taught. And therefore, blaming you doesn't seem to make much sense. One of the things we have to realize is you can only work with what you've been shown, with what you've had the opportunity to realize. This is a critical factor to keep in mind. Okay, now I'm looking behind me. I don't have a lot done there, but okay, this is the side effect of locking myself away. Okay, those have to be dealt with. This is what I mean. I'm not over there. I'm over here. This is what I mean by this is my workspace and my bed. Okay. The reality of it is when you're looking to get involved with people, okay, when you're looking to improve your own outlook, it is necessary to interact with others. Here we are. Gordon's going, last night I came home at 3:28 a.m. Whoop. 3:28 a.m., 10 p.m. Just reading what it says. What do we got here? Oh, okay. Gordon, what you may be dealing with, and there's two possibilities. One, if you've only met 3 or 4 times, okay, this may be a question of that few times hit so strongly that she feels like she's known you for a long time. The more likely outcome is you both knew each other in a past life. Now, I have no way of telling you which one. Okay, but that is the most likely place where that kind of connection happens, is if you've known the person in a past life. Now, there's a few people in the chat room that I clearly have known in past lives, because we've all connected in such a way that we could discuss what we went through and found the connections. Okay, LA, 2 major factors. If you're a full-fledged introvert, okay, and you don't want a lot of socializing, there is no requirement for it. But I will tell you, the ones that are socializing, and this is not a slight on anybody, but the fact you're asking, okay, anybody that asks, how do you socialize? If they are a full-fledged introvert, if there isn't that aspect of, I'd like to reach out. Now, do understand, every member of the human genome, and virtually every corporeal person, okay, the human genome is designed as a social group. Okay. You know, the reason for that is there is a part of you, every one of you, even if you're an extreme introvert, there's a part of you that says, I've got to connect with somebody else. Okay. You may not recognize it. It may be a subconscious thing, but it really boils down to one step at a time. Your best bet is to find somebody that you get along with, to go out for coffee, sit down, don't say a word to anybody, just sit there with the person that is there and watch them interact. It will help you break through that. Yeah, Gordon goes, we were discussing that and so many things that were no things. You know, the neat part there is when you start discussing a connection, things that you've lost contact with come to the surface. If you're have a good night there, Kevin. Thanks for sharing your time with us. I really do appreciate it. You know, when you're content with being on your own, the odds of anybody talking you into getting out of the house, not good. Okay, but it literally boils down to, if you're an extreme introvert, okay, if you don't want a lot of socializing, you won't get it because you won't put yourself in that kind of position. But if it's a question of you don't really know how to socialize, then what you'll find happen is you'll get out a little more, and it boils down to simply looking at somebody, at a total stranger, and smiling and nodding as they go by. That's where it starts. Okay, so I mean, we are talking about a lot of ways, but the reality is, if you don't have any drive to get out, okay, and I don't mean you don't have a strong enough mindset to get out in spite of your fear. I mean, you've got no drive to get out at all. The odds of you getting out of the house are not good. But one thing you can do is give yourself permission to get out of the house, to trust that you'll be okay. And yes, I know how difficult that can be. Socializing is a critical necessity of humankind. Okay, humans are a social nomadic race. They were taught to fear by the governing bodies. Now I realize they may go against what you've been told. Oh, you should have seen today. I was trying to drive, and all of a sudden, I couldn't see in front of me at all. Mind you, I could see on both sides of the road. A little bit of a complication when it comes to stress levels. What do we got here? Okay. Yeah, no, LA, like I know LA personally. And literally, if she gets into a bind, I'd recommend whoever was trying to pick a fight with her didn't. Unless you're planning on going to the hospital. Now, don't get me wrong. LA is not a violent individual. And this is the whole kicker to it. Pick a fight with a pacifist, you're bound to get hurt. Phil's just suggesting walk up to strangers and ask them, have you ever considered joining the cult of the man-eating tomatoes? Well, I like the idea. That's always handy. It is one of those things. Like I'm walking into a gas station one day. Now, I was not in my car at all. So I'm walking by the gas station. I told my buddy, I said, hang on, I gotta go check something. Walked up to the till. And the lady, because she was looking really bored, she looked at me and goes, how can I help you, sir? I says, can I confuse you? And she goes, what? So I turned around, I looked at her, I went, yep, and walked out. She just sat there dumbfounded. My buddy, he looked at me and goes, what was that all about? Oh, I said, I just wanted to go in. I just went in and asked if I could confuse her. And he goes, and? I said, and she's confused. Mission accomplished. But it broke up her day. Okay. And the thing is, when you start asking about cults, I was gonna, when I first started reading that, Philip, when I first started reading it, I thought you said had left it at cult. I.e., have you ever considered joining a cult? And that really would go over in a different fashion. Mike, how you doing? Glad you could join us. So it is time that we start taking our own energies, interacting with other people, and thereby bolstering their energies. Okay, this is what socializing does. When you get enough people talking about the same thing, it becomes a trending topic. And yeah, I'm absolutely stealing that comment, that terminology out of the, how do I put it? And I completely dropped that thought line. Welcome to my world. Okay, but the idea of changing the direction society is going on, we gotta stop waiting for the governments, the media moguls, the religious people. We gotta quit waiting for them to tell us what and how to think. Because it's not working well. Oh heavens, cats have been training since, I don't know, ancient Egypt. Thing with cats is you gotta remember, cats were never domesticated. And nobody owns a cat. Okay? Cats are, by and large, the masters of a given house. Okay? Dogs may be man's best friend. But cats seem to have a real interesting situation of being mankind's owners. Now, I am going to look at now. That's an article I gotta get written today. And that. One thing I do have a question for you on. I'm looking at the way the world is running and going, there are some pretty badly screwed up things taking place. So, with that in mind, how can your attitude towards the world positively affect other people through socializing? Oh, that depends on the cat now, Ellie. I mean, cats are very feisty, but they just gotta pick an animal that is more to their sizing. I mean, I saw, like, we had a tomcat that literally would chase Saint Bernards, and he would have been 12 pounds. He would chase Saint Bernards and Dobermans off our property, not to mention Huskies, because he just had all the attitude he could muster. Now, what do I got here? So when we take a look at the way your world is going, what is it that you can do regarding your own self-awareness and thereby help to positively affect the world around you? See, I'm looking at this going, now, maybe I should start that in a slightly different fashion. I turned around and went, okay, I have been really, really erroneously bitter towards a lot of people this lifetime because I kept looking at it going, how can you do that and claim to care about people? Okay, it's not working well. And this is what we have to turn around and take a look at. I think today's Sunday, it must be. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at a lot of interaction for people, but how do you feel if your mood were in better shape? How do you feel that is going to, thanks, Ellie, how do you feel that is going to positively affect the people with whom you interact with? Any idea at all? Well, the thing is, my tomcat, it's not that he was venomous, but I will tell you, when he landed on the back of the Saint Bernard, all 4 sets of claws were out. Okay, just decided that chasing the pup off by holding and make him happy. You know, when we look at socializing, you bring something unique to the table. Okay, in any conversation. Now, I will warn you. Hoping to sit on philosophical debates with anybody. Okay, because I just do not see the world the same way other people do. Oh, there you go, Joe. Yeah, and that wouldn't be surprising on that road again. Okay, because as you get later into the things are going to start getting darker. That's just reality before and beyond it. Behind it. Where are we here? Yeah, ultimately that's also what it looked like. Except for the fact that he tended to keep all 4 claws locked in. Okay. That is not making me happy. But when you look at the socializing aspect of it, if there is anybody you've had a falling out with due to circumstance, now it's the time to reach out. Okay, to reach out and strive to reconnect. Take whatever happened. I'm not saying forget it happened, but forgive enough of it that you can move forward. Because ending a friendship due to a communication problem is overrated. Very overrated. Okay. I'm going to have to do that just because, well, when my system starts to feel funny, this is why I say I keep an eye on things on rather a close tab. Kind of have to. Okay. See, when things start feeling off kilter, I find it kind of necessary to double check and make sure I know why. Yeah, that's a little bit spiky, but it'll come down. All I'm doing, guys, is this is just a blood pressure machine. Okay. Yeah, definitely a little high, but then I've been up in the boat all day. That's a very odd blood pressure. No, I'm not about to drop dead on you. But it's reading 125 over 102 with a pulse of 107 of 101. But I've been up and mobile, so I will be keeping an eye on that. Neat part about it is it doesn't concern me too terribly much. Probably should, but hey, what the heck. Where are we here? Joe's going, the lighter it stays outside at night, the paranormal just doesn't respond to it. Yeah, very much the case. No, it absolutely doesn't mean the paranormal isn't present. The fact of the matter is, that was from LA towards Joe. The thing is, when it's lighter outside, it's harder to see the paranormal events. Okay. I wonder if vampires actually get blood pressure, period. You do remember they have this neat little problem. They don't require a lot of things that humans do. I was talking to somebody, speaking of vampires or the Singian, the Nordic race, the ones that we call Nords. Okay, and this is where socializing comes in handy. Okay, I got to sit down with them in their banquet hall. Okay, this is how I got to know how a lot of them operate. Okay, the Nordic race, most people call them Nords because that's what they look like. Their actual race name is Gaffney. And yes, in the second printing, this name has been corrected. As a matter of fact, tonight I will be dealing with a bit more of that tying off. Now, all in all, we're looking at a time where we've got to start interacting with each other, pointing out the benefits that people are doing. The successes they're having, the interactions, and the things they're driving
Hang on, folks. We're a little glitchy. We'll be right back.
Well, that was annoying. In a nutshell, Joe, it's not that they actually wait for the dark. It's that when you got the dark, it's easier to see what's going to see the difference. To see the optical change that happens when you're looking at something that is semi-translucent. Okay, it's a little translucent, semi-transparent. Once you take the light out of the situation, it's easier to see these things. That's where the reality is. It's the same way, it's the same reason why, nowadays the paranormal seems to be more visible. It's not that more of it is happening, it's that more people are paying attention to what's happening. That's the real critical factor. And now what we got to start doing is going, okay, let's compare notes. Document what you see. Document what you know. I will absolutely turn around and give you an answer if I've got one. Now, Valerie's just going, I have a good bit of that. And I found that paranormal follows a natural medium or empathic person. More often than not, they do. The funny part is, in my case, it doesn't bother me. Okay. But then I look at the world of reality and go, this is the way things are for me. Now, I do not know why that's going on. I move my head too fast and everything is slowed down. What this tells me is my mind is working hyperdrive. Okay. And it is time, from your standpoint, to really focus on bringing into a balance point. And people are more willing to talk about what they see now. They wouldn't before for fear of being locked up. Absolutely correct. Okay. And this is one of the reasons why when people ask me, why should you believe what I'm saying? I never said you should. I simply said it's what I'm seeing. Just so happens that so many people I know of, they go into a social environment, and the moment they start talking about the weird things going on around them, okay, the weirder things seem to get. To me, it is appalling when a newcomer, as it were, comes to somebody that is proclaimed versed in alien technologies or ancient races, and somebody approaches them and says, look, I think I had this. To me, it's appalling that the people in the field, so many of them, will just categorically dismiss the idea. It's like, no, that's your imagination working overtime. I'm telling you, that's not quite the way. What do we got here? Absolutely, Philip. Phil's just suggesting that we also document what you see, hear, smell, taste, and feel. In other words, back to the five senses. If you can chalk it down in one of those five senses, it's like onto something. Okay. I am going to have to do that. Okay, that's pretty much as far back as I go. I am looking at getting things organized because now we're down to the last. Well, today's the 28th. So we are looking at essentially 9 days till Reno, but who's counting? This is my effort of getting out of the house and actually going and socializing, aside from the few very small places I currently go. Sometimes there, Joe, it just what if don't beat yourself up over that. Something you might try, and I don't know what kind of an artist you are, but try just sketching a real rough picture of what you saw. It may help trigger the rest of the memory. Hopefully you follow what that boils down to. But when we look at Reno, we're looking at a very simple issue. It's an excellent time to socialize, to get to meet you face to face. Please, guys, when you're down there, if you're from the chat room, absolutely introduce yourself as whatever your call sign is, because the odds are I'll remember that better than remembering somebody's exact name. Just for the reality of that's what it's been. Oh, where are we here? That looks funny. Yeah, Philip goes 9 days until Reno. Sounds like a Christmas movie. Yeah, I think that was 10 days of the Condor. Oh, man. When I'm done this stream, I get to grab my cloth and go outside and wash my water. I am curious how many people are going to be in Reno. I'll get one more discussion in, on Friday with Space Out Radio before the Reno trip. And then remember, I'll be here all this week, all the way until Monday, I think. No, is it Tuesday or Wednesday? What do I got here? Yeah, Thursday's the 8th. So I will be here Wednesdays. I don't have a stream. I don't have anything going on. I'll be here on Wednesday up until Wednesday night. And then, as it turns out, I'm gone for a week and a half. Okay. I won't be taking my laptop with me, nor will I be taking any of the camera stuff. So I just won't. What have we got here? The neat part about it is when we start looking at the social side of this world. Okay, Gordonian, stress and what we got. The having to move is stressful. Okay, but immediately while you're sitting right here, okay, I'd like you to do two things. Take one hand, either with your left, doesn't matter. If you've got a third one to choose from, use it. Okay, take one of your hands, put it palm down on something that is solid and normally sits on the ground. Maybe it's a couch, a recliner, a dining room table, the wall itself, or maybe even the floor. You put your hand down on it. Feel that excess energy running out of your hand, much like water out of a faucet. Okay. and let that. Now, this is not a question of dismissing a question of you do that, it will help bring your stress levels back into a manageable level. Okay. The other thing that I always look at is, can you think of anything, and this is literally for you, Gorilla, can you think of anything of benefit of this forced move coming in? Can you think of in a face I'm really pulling a blank here. Can you think of anything positive that will come out of that move? Because I can think of one thing right off. And this said, if you haven't figured something out in the next minute or two, I'm going to tell you what I see. Okay, it boils down to you identify the stress. Okay, you're stressed out. We know the stress is being caused by unless you can personally fix it, it may be time to let it go. Okay, now LA is suggesting that find a new place immediately and be sure to see a better place in your mind's eye. Well, that is one of those things that is a very me. How you doing? Glad you could join us. I understand the issue of money. Okay, but with that in mind, and without knowing the specifics, no way I can tell you how to work around it. But I will tell you that what I've experienced is more often than not, without the finances, it's a question of turning around. Yep, that unfortunately is the same across the board. Okay, out here, Gordana, and I really feel for you because out here, if I move into a 3-bedroom place, my rent will jump to $3,500 on average. The place I'm living, I'll be paying $1,098. Okay, but this may be a question of having to really look at what your finances are doing and go, okay, this is what I'm dealing with. Vibing, how are you? Not a problem regarding the tuning in a little later. Just coming. For me, everything's going reasonably well. But Vibing, I'm very happy you dropped in. Very nice of you, even with a hectic schedule like yours, to find you are choosing to spend time with us. Okay. Now, where are we? Refresh that and see what happens. It's funny. I had to tell somebody the other day that because they were asking about this whole issue of the Anunnaki trying to enslave humans to hunt for gold. Okay, complete sidetrack, I know. Okay, but gold is not the most efficient element for that. Okay, but where it comes to your finances, okay, Gordana, the one thing you gotta do is really sit down with your other half, okay, and absolutely look at what you have going for you. I know it's stressful. I can understand that all too well. But I also know that by focusing on it, by focusing on the positive side of what's going on, you can find a way around it. Okay. One of the biggest things, I'm looking at this and I'm just thinking, hey, Spray Fairy, how we doing? Glad you could join us. When I look at finances, I look at it this way. Okay. Finances are a means to an end. Period. Okay. That's all they are. I'm glad you're doing good there, Viving. Finances are another form of barter. Now, I cut it real tight, and I get a little angry trying to say this is not interesting because what I find is people looking outside of it and go, "Oh, your finances are improving, so therefore you're saying I'm useless," or worse, jealousy kicks in on the part of the person making less money. Okay, and what they do is they miss the point. My money's turning around because I decided I wasn't tolerating it staying where it was. But you gotta remember, when there are two or more of you in a household, get everybody involved. Okay, so everybody knows where the finances are. Now, I'm going to be real blunt here, Gordana. Have you sat down with your other half and literally talked to him and laid out on paper? Have you literally laid out on paper what your finances are really looking like? Uh-oh. Now, Spike Fairy is saying wampum beat and wampum shell beads as a currency represented in time and labor. And the time to make them. All shell beads represented labor hours. Absolute came up a while ago. The consortium works in man hours. How much did you get done in 1 hour? That's how they work out what the pay is. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, absolutely. When you get that message, let me know. Okay. Like I said, I've already talked to my other half. And yeah, she is good as far as going for dinner or lunch, one of the two. Okay. Absolutely. We are up for the meal. Okay. That said, it's just a I'm picking which day. As long you've 12 meals to choose from, by the way, and 12, where I've got 3 meals I have to look at. Oh, there we go. Spike Fairy is just letting us know. Spike Fairy was trying to think of something else for swapping a goat for a bag of grain. Something symbolic and small, but people agree on is the best system. Absolutely, it is, and this is why when I started looking at the idea of literally paying word of mouth advertising, I base it on effort. Okay, if everybody's got the same option, okay, then it's up to the individual's effort. It's that simple. Now, I am looking at taking, as a matter of fact, where is that? Today is the 28th. Okay, where did my pen go? I always like that, lose track of my pen. Good thing I'm in an office with a whole pile of pens. What have we got here? Then Okay, check that. So I'm going through positive perspectives, making sure I've got everything laid out. That'll be first. Then I will firing off positive perspectives main edition. Okay, because it's already ready to go. Yeah, eyeballs here. Well, yeah, we got rain here now. Are you raining on your end now, Philip? You know, the one thing I will tell you. Oh, look at that! My screen is frozen. Probably yours has too. I would love to say that this was just a normal thing. Well, it is, but every now and quite regularly lately, I'm getting hiccups. Now, hiccups are not a sign of anybody dying, although they hurt like the dickens on occasion. Now, where are we? Where we are here. I'm just reading someone's here. See, and this is something I haven't seen a response to yet, Gordana. But can you think of one thing that is of a beneficial nature to having this move thrust upon you? Can you think of one thing this is going to help with, or that it can help with? And yes, I know that's challenging. Well, it certainly helps, Philip. I'll tell you, without the bumblebees, the rain won't do a lot for the flowers. But no, the one critical factor there is, and I'm going to put it to you this way, guys. I'm running into a little bit of a problem. Okay, and clearly has a problem with. So I'm going to do it this way. I will tell you right now, in spite of the financial stress, I will tell you this is a perfect time to dispose of the stuff that you've been hanging on to, the clutter that's just been filling your area. Okay, it's a golden opportunity to get rid of it. Okay. Now, for those of you that are in the chat room, absolutely. If you think of an idea of something that can be beneficial, brought about by a forced move in a residential setup, pop it up on the screen and I'll pass it on to people. Oh, don't they though, Philip? Philip just saying bumblebees do awesome spring dancing, awesome rain dancing. Absolutely they do. Okay, but what we gotta realize is it's time to pull together. And this is why I say, if you can think of one positive thing, okay, that is likely to happen because this move has been thrust upon you, what would it be? Yes, I've got a list up here a mile long. I will have to check that. See, the thing is, there is little that cannot be done. There's a lot that past experience may tell you won't work. But bear in mind, if you buy an idea, it won't work right off the bat, already creating a barrier to make it that much more complicated. I don't know about you, but I don't find making things complicated all that beneficial for my peace of mind. Yeah, you're right, Mo. just reminding us that it's very important too. In the mental psychology of humans. Whether you believe you can accomplish something or you believe you can't, the odds are you're likely to be right. Okay. We are pausing out here. Okay. I love when it's that. Absolutely. See, the neat part, like, we just had a banner put up here. And in all fairness, it shouldn't be if your mind so much as when your mind can conceive it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. Now, I gotta double check something. I don't have to go far for it. Today is Sunday. Oh, well, that would be why. Gee, you'd think I'd figure this out. But we are pushing 6 o'clock, I believe. We are. So that said, hold that thought for just a moment. I'm just going to get a refill of my coffee. Okay. And we are back. And we've got a little piece of information for you guys. Understanding, I don't watch hockey. I don't have much concern over hockey. I don't really care one way or the other. But my son does. So I just went out there. And tonight was what was it? It was 2-1, the fourth game of the playoffs between Vancouver Canucks and I forget who the team was, so I gotta go double check that. Cam. Okay. The Predators, yeah. Okay. Well, that was a little trippy, but Vancouver against the Florida Predators. Okay. The fourth game, the Canucks took the fourth game 18-21. Took the took their fourth game, making it 3-1 against the Predators at 18-21 in overtime. Okay. Now, the best I can tell you is one of the players, like I said, I don't follow it. So I'm doing my best to remember what I was just told and said. The chap, whoever that is, got his hat trick. Okay, meaning he got, as far as I understand, he got 3 goals in one game. Yeah, 18 minutes, 21 seconds, they put the 4th goal in. Right, which is absolutely great. In my way of looking at it, now I don't watch hockey, I don't bother with it. Okay, because when I was younger, you'd go to, I'd be watching a game and there was no saying, I went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. I never developed any interest in it, and of course I didn't develop the competitive streak to start with. But in my eyes, for a game of any sport to be good, to be really exciting, take it down to the wire and win by 1 point. Okay, the fact it was the Canucks that won is what's going to make a lot of people, at least if you're a Canucks fan, happy. Okay, you don't need to win 4-0. But 4-3 is an exciting game. Oh, so all in all, that's just your news flash for you that's got nothing to do with what I'm interested in. Oddly enough, hockey is more like, or not hockey, shuffleboard and curling are more along the same line. Okay, hockey, you're running around with a stick in your hand. Okay, trying to, take this little black disc around a sheet of ice, trying to get it into a little net that some big individual is sitting in front of. They call him a goalie. It's started sitting there trying to stop that little itty bitty puck from going in. Now, there's all kinds of ways of looking at sports. They're not one of the things I follow. Oh, there we go. Woo's just letting us know, and I know I opened this can of worms. Woo's just letting us know his hockey team is the New York Rangers, and they are up 3-0, and they're up 2-1 right now, end of the first period, trying to sweep the Washington Capitals. Yeah, the best I can tell you is I know somebody's going to win the Stanley Cup. Probably going with both wins, but I absolutely what do we got here? I ran into a problem today. Yeah, Storm goes, hockey is combat curling. Well, I have played combat ping pong and combat badminton. And we even played combat frisbee when I was a kid. But what we got to remember is sports are a necessary thing. They are a competitive thing. I just didn't develop much of a competitive nature. Regarding last night on Nathan's show, okay. Philip, as far as I understand, I don't know who he was, but Stanley was way back in about the 20s or the 30s. He's the one that actually laid out the actual Stanley Cup. So yeah, definitely in my eyes, one of the famous people. What I never understood about it, though, is why, when you put somebody on any world record list or any Hall of Fame, because of their ability, why in tarnation would you bother taking them off of it based on a social decision? Okay, they still pulled off the sport record. Now croquet. I played croquet. I'll tell you, it becomes really deadly when you start playing combat archery or combat lawn darts. Even combat lawn bowling is rough. I have no idea. But I do know who does. So give me half a sec, I will check on that. Well, I definitely get that one. But well, like I said, I'm not much of a fan, but my son is. So, that said, 1992 was the 1992-93 Stanley Cup was won by a Canadian team. Exactly what I don't know. Okay, but it's been 22 years now since a Canadian team has won. Myself, Spike Ferry, the Great Fay Folk Yo-Yo Championship is a hoot. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Oops. Now that would be a dangerous sport. Combat karaoke. I'm thinking this is not really a good game. Okay. However, I can see if I were to stand up there and try and sing in karaoke, I can certainly see people throwing things at me. Oh, there we are, Canadians. There you go. The really funny part about it is it's been 22 years since Canada has won a Stanley Cup. And yet, apparently hockey was invented in Canada. That's the funny part. Technically, are they allowed? Technically, your Ilarians could play hockey, but what it usually becomes is a bloodbath. He is my son's fan is a Canucks fan. Myself, not at all. Like the game today, I'm happy with because it played down to the last minute, and they won it by 1 point. Yeah, I'm clearly not going to try and pronounce those there, LA. Not right now. Hockey is the national sport of Canada. That doesn't mean that they pull off the best teams. Okay, and you got to remember, the Stanley Cup boils down to whoever gets the most wins in the last, the most wins in the last game. Okay, how you get to the last game is a whole process, which I have no problem with. But ultimately, it boils down to one game. Spike Berry goes, I confuse my enemies with interpretive dance. Kung Fu isn't. However, I believe that would be Shinru, Aishuru, and Shonru. Okay, those ones I'm a little bit questionable on the pronunciation of. But I will tell you that when I look at this whole issue, and again, this is one thing that the national sports has that works really well. It gives people a common thing to look at, a common thing to bond around. You would have sports bars all over the world where people sit amongst strangers to scream at the TV. Okay. Or they pay phenomenal dollars to go sit so far up the bleachers in the cold, side by side with total strangers, voting for the same team, screaming at the people on the ice. Philip, where it comes to being a magic ninja, I thought that used to be a case way back of I wish I was an Oscar Mayer wiener, but you desire to become a magic ninja. Two major factors. What true ninja do is phenomenal. And unless you're actually dead, you can go out and become a black belt. Okay, there is nothing stopping you save. Well, maybe there is. If you're physically capable, okay, then get up and go and do it. Make it a priority for yourself. It's a great way to get in shape. Myself, I just don't like getting hit. Yeah, Spike Fairy hands real floaty wires. I take a look and go, it's a great way for people to socialize. Okay, politics has about the same bunch of people sitting around in a room screaming. Doesn't make much sense. But anything that can draw attention to an interaction with each other, it has the potential of being very positive. Okay, I never understood. It was funny. I was sitting there with my ex-wife one day. At the time we were married. I'm no sports fan. And I was sitting there watching the show. I was doing something else at the time as well. But all of a sudden she stands up and starts screaming at the TV. I made the mistake of looking at it and going, does that really help? Not ask an avid sports fan if they're screaming at the TV. Do not ask them if it helps. It may not help, but will have a side effect is it redirects their anger at you. Not a wise choice. Oh, look, I have a frozen face on here. So we hit refresh. Let's see if that helps. And it looks like we're back. This was definitely going with things, but the important factor here is whether you enjoy sports or not. Okay, across the globe, sports in various different forms are a fantastic way for people when they discover which sport they like, for people to socialize. Even if you don't like sports, going with friends to the sports game still enables you to enjoy the socializing aspect of it. Looking at the issue, when I'm looking at the concept of this trip to Reno, I don't like crowds. I know what the important factor is there. Now, I will tell you this. I won't be bringing a lot of books down with me, that's for certain. But I will be bringing a few. This said, if any one of you is coming to Reno, or anyone's coming to Reno and you desire to get one of the many books I've got, you desire to get it, the shipping will get wiped out. Philip, the answer is I don't know. I know because I'm aware she doesn't know anybody on the hockey team. Okay, But the whole reality of it is, when you're thinking in terms of who wins, most people have a favorite hockey team. I simply look at it going, as long as one team wins, what the heck? Good night, Gordon. Glad you could join us. Thanks for sharing your time. You know, oh, that wouldn't be surprising there, Valerie. We've already determined that if I lean too close to the computer, we run into troubles. That's just a reality issue. You know, one of the things that we have to realize is if you can find a reason to socialize, do so. And I mean socialize as in physically get together. And this is why I say, just to give you a poignant fact, because I really cannot afford the issue of ship, which is why I do it this way. But, give you an idea, this book, on its own, this is Birth of the Wolfpack, on its own, it is $40. But because of the fact, and because of the cost of shipping, it ends up costing $65 to actually get it shipped. I can't Amazon or any other, so I'm working on different options. That said, if you're planning on coming to Reno and you do desire a copy of this, drop me a line before the 7th, before the night of the 7th, and let me know. I will bring down copies for people. That's if you're coming to Reno, because there won't be shipping all over the neighborhood. These are and without our own I just need to know ahead of time so I can. Because I'm coming down anyway. But the more you know about you, the easier it is for you people. And people. Are looking at. And, if you up, subscribe and share the get the top of the binding link. So they get the free newsletter. Okay, down to understand the world for virtually everybody. This is why I'm directly asking people for our public track. But require work. Your life, if you desire it to be on, I've got the tool for it. I can show you the tools. And this is what I'm working with. Well, I really do appreciate that there, Joe. We are looking at finding a new way of making things a little bit more exciting, a little bit more interactive, if you will. Oh, there we go. Oh, nice. Gotta ask Bite Fairy. Which, oh, the Phantom Collection. There we go. The hard copy. Yeah, I didn't actually follow the Phantom. My brother used to, and I think, if I remember correctly, in his comic collection that he's getting rid of. Well, my brother passed away, but he had a comic collection, and I believe he used to collect the Phantom. Bear in mind, my brother used to keep all of the comics in mint condition. Okay, mint condition or like new. He was an avid comic collector. And I am literally, once I get a hold of my older brother who's handling the estate, I'm going to start looking at what comics he's got that are available. I have no idea what they're worth at this point. I am going to be looking into them. It's just one of those things I've got to deal with. Technically, I don't have to. But having a hard copy version of it, I've got the hard copy, not of the comics. Well, that's not true. That one book I've got that's hard copy. I've got a hard copy of the X-Men. So, I mean, from my standpoint, things are changing very nicely. I finally figured out hanging on to anger towards people is not helping me. But again, if any of the books catch your attention that I've got in the stream, if you're coming to Reno, if you're certain you're coming to Reno and you'd like one of the books, okay, let me know. I will bring them with me, and thereby the shipping cost will go out the window. But I won't be bringing a bunch down if I've got none that are set to go. I may bring a couple depending on what I've got to pack. But I'm getting that all set up. So see what happens. One of the neat things that I'm looking at with this whole society is we need to start focusing on the positives that are happening. Okay, and I'm absolutely positive my computer is screaming. Yeah. Ultimately, the conclusion, Phil's going, flush your anger into the toilet. Absolutely. The thing is that I'm an empath. And I pick up the anger around the planet and with the planet itself. Okay, making it a problematic situation. But I find out in my head this morning that hanging on to it isn't helping. Mad at people being, shall we say, a little more dense than expected hasn't helped. Okay, so I'm looking at it going, okay, what can we do to really get people back on track? Okay, it's thing, and whether it's okay or not is the point. This is time to really look in the mirror and go, what are you looking forward to? What people can enjoy the same thing? For me, I play D&D. And today what I do with D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, is I plan my next maneuver in life. We write in the campaign we're running, instead of it being a whole pile of this issue of let's run around, kill a bunch of ogres, we are literally buying up properties and setting up business to generate a stable income. It's a different type of game, absolutely. Okay, so a role-playing game. Remember, we So have we closed? Thanks so much for spending your time. Really do appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll not have as many hiccups at the end there or any time. But I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sake, stay positive.